8 minutes past 8 Central African time. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidiri. And we're going to be kickstarting the show with a very, very important and I think interesting conversation. South Africa's defense industry, which has long punched above its weight. I think you can think about all of the cool inventions and exports that we give to the world. World-renowned mine-resistant vehicles, advanced missile systems, and surveillance technology. For the longest of time, South Africa has built a reputation of being one of Africa's leading defense manufacturers. And now the industry says it's on the cusp of another major expansion, with exports potentially reaching 30 billion rand in the coming years. This is if government can fix regulatory bottlenecks, speed up export approvals, and provide greater policy certainty. The sector argues it could become a major economic driver, creating thousands and thousands of highly skilled jobs while also strengthening South Africa's strategic industrial base. But there are critics as obviously they will, who are asking whether a country grappling with high unemployment, service delivery, and a struggling military should be betting on defense exports. Should that be a priority right now? So yeah, we're going to be asking very, very important questions around that conversation. Can defense manufacturing become one of South Africa's next growth industries, or are the obstacles simply too great to overcome? And joining us to try and unpack and dissect that conversation is defense analyst Guy Martin and defense industry analyst James Kerr. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to News and Views. Really appreciate you giving us your time.
Good morning, Salelo.
Good to be on the show. Thanks for having us.
No, pleasure is all ours. And I want to kickstart the conversation. Maybe start with you, James. Let's start with the headline. The defense industry believes South Africa's defense exports could reach around 30 billion rand. From your perspective, is that a realistic target? And what could be driving that kind of optimism?
Salelo, it's a stretch target. So let's be realistic. We've been a little bit sort of stagnant over the last, say, 15 years, and then say in the last sort of 3 years, we've started to catch the wave, which is there's pretty much a super cycle on the go internationally, with countries buying up defense based on targets that are there, and we're riding the wave. So we've grown effectively in the last sort of 5 years, sitting at around about 3 billion rand of sales, sort of over an average 10-year period, to now jumping up to 10 billion. It is on the back of strong demand. Obviously, we know that there are conflicts going on in the world, but we are ready for it. We've got a core capability here. It's not 100% maximum usage, but the potential is there. We've got the backing of core products, and if we get everyone working together and pulling towards in the same direction, 30 billion might be a low target. The minister said, why are we targeting so low? That was her statement yesterday in the closing statements of the Lekgotla.
Interesting, Guy. I want to bring you into the conversation because I remember you and I having a conversation, an interview once, and we were talking about Denel and the brain drain when it comes to some experts who are working at Denel, and they're now all over the world, mostly in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia and so forth. From your perspective, do you also see this as realistic, considering the challenges that we have when it comes to defense manufacturing?
I think it is realistic. I mean, that there are going to be challenges. The lack of skills is a problem in certain areas. So if you look at guided missiles in particular, there's a bit of a shortage of skills there. But South Africa does have a huge number of technicians and engineers that are still active in armored vehicle segment, in vessels, in unmanned aerial vehicles. So we do still have a lot of capabilities. And I believe some of the engineers who went to the Middle East have been coming back, especially after the attacks on the UAE by Iran. A lot of people have felt that the UAE is not such a great destination after all. So there will be ebbs and flows with the brain drain, but I do think there are enough personnel to at least cover quite a large segment of the defense industrial base that's required to increase exports.
And James, from your perspective, if the industry does achieve this level of growth, what could it mean for the economy in terms of investment, jobs, and foreign earnings that could come to South Africa, which I assume, and I think we all know that they're very much needed at this point.
Selena, that is the core question. South African defence industry, we're one of the few industries that's got a positive balance of payments. So we bring money into the country. We need to be targeting this, and it's a low hanging fruit, as you've mentioned. Yes, it was a skills exodus. However, the core is there. What we have got linking onto that, and it's causing a bit of a challenge, is we've got a thing called a missing middle. So we've got people sitting 50 and above, and now we've got a large amount of people that are coming in that are in the youth category, 35 and below. It's transferring from those people that are almost going out to come in, and with that, we'll break the market. I think it's what is needed, but it's really the fiscus that must come in. And we must then think of how can we get that money that we are channeling back into the country straight back into defense, because it's not just the defense industry, it's the defense force as well. We've got to get them on a technology base that they can go and give and protect our sovereignty. That's the crux.
I want to go for a quick break, but when we come back, I want us to touch on the irony of all of this, because while our defense companies are producing world-class equipment, we have some of the most brilliant minds when it comes to engineers and scientists and people that are behind all of this wonderful equipment that we're shipping out. The SANDF itself is facing some serious budget constraints. There's aging infrastructure. I want to touch on that when we come back, and just the discrepancies between the two and how much of a challenge that is. But we'll do that when we come back.
Perfect.
It's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Right now, over 150 million children around the world are orphaned, facing hunger, hardship, and uncertainty. With Islamic Relief's Orphan Sponsorship Program, you can provide a child with access to education, nutritious food, essential healthcare, and a safe home. Your sponsorship is not just support, it's hope, security, and a brighter future. Be the reason an orphan child smiles again. Sponsor an orphan today with Islamic Relief.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Are you banking with convenience, transparency, and flexibility? With Al Baraka Bank's transactional banking account, you can enjoy convenient everyday banking designed around your needs. Benefit from zero fees on point-of-sale transactions and manage your banking easily through Al Baraka's secure mobile banking app and internet banking platform. From everyday payments to managing your personal or business banking, Al Baraka makes banking simple, transparent, and convenient. Visit albaraka.co.za to learn more. Al Baraka, your partner bank. Al Baraka Bank Limited is an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
18 minutes past 8 Central African time. You're still tuned in to News and Views. Myself, Salailo Makwidire, and I'm still in conversation with Guy Martin, defense analyst, and defense industry analyst James Kerr. And we're looking at South Africa's defense industry, which is eyeing around 30 billion rand in export, a boom that could see much needed contribution to the economy and a lot of jobs being created if it does come to fruition. And gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. Before we went on to that short break, and I think Guy, you can jump in here. The irony of this conversation, is happening while our defense companies, as I mentioned, lauded the world over. They're producing world-class equipment, but the SANDF, it's finding itself in very precarious positions. Just the discrepancies between the two. Is there any way that what we are showing the world and what we're giving the world could ultimately trickle down to our own SANDF, which it's difficult up there?
Yeah, definitely. So a strong and healthy defense industry is to the advantage of the National Defense Force, because if the industry is doing well, it's innovating, it's investing in research and development, it's creating new products, it's better able to support the SANDF. And the SANDF, they need to modernize and upgrade a lot of equipment. There are still some small acquisitions that take place, for instance, special forces, weapons, vehicles. So there is some procurement that goes on. But if the industry is strong, this means that it can go to the SANDF and say, look, just trial our products, use them. We can give you a little demo of them. And if the SANDF then use them on, say, a demo basis, that's good for the industry, because when a product is endorsed by the National Defense Force, it makes it much easier to sell that product internationally. So, for instance, Milcor is trying to partner with the SA Air Force to allow the Air Force to use their Milcor 380 unmanned aerial vehicle, which is the largest such aircraft developed in Africa. And if that is used successfully by the Air Force, then that carries a lot more weight when Milcor is trying to sell that internationally.
James, maybe you can also jump into the conversation here. I mean, still sticking with the SANDF, aren't they doing some justice to the South African defense industry? Because when you are trying to sell yourself internationally, whether you are at Danel or any other weapons manufacturing company, the products that you want to sell overseas, one would assume the ones that your own defense force should be using and utilizing, but they're not. Is that an Achilles heel? Is that a challenge when it comes to how we market ourselves out there?
Correct. That's one of the biggest selling points for defense equipment. You generally need to have your local user generating experience on the equipment so that you can say that they're battle tested. If our user was using our products, even in small batches, as Guy has just alluded to, it would help industry no end, because then we say we have got a launch customer which is local, and then you go out and find international launch customers. It's very difficult just to go straight in and get international launch customers. The Defence Force has aims that they want to achieve. Everyone is calling on the budgetary constraints. It is a budgetary constraint, but they need to fight wiser. Chief of Defence Force has just announced during the Lekgotla that yes, they're going on a modernize and maintain initiative. That's system life extension of products that they've got. That is good because it will use local products. So if you're doing an update of a rattle, for instance, the sensor pack will be 100% South Africa. Command and control system, 100% South Africa. And that is where we're going. Keep in mind, we are unique here in South Africa with our defense industry. We are one of less than 20 countries internationally with a full design and development capability. And that is across air, land, sea, and the cyber type domains. It's unique. We've got the least budget, but we really do fight above our weight. It's a typical South African thing. We take it. We like Driekus. We take it and fight above our weight.
I want to stay with you, James, because industry leaders have repeatedly raised concerns about delays when it comes to export permits. And I think this may be where government comes in and some of the regulatory bottlenecks that are there. How much business is South Africa losing because of some of those issues? And do we see government fixing them anytime soon?
Yes, that's been the major drive of the discussions over this last week. And the nice thing is that government did come to the table. They've offered a number of solutions to try and unlock the bottleneck. I think the latest, or the current government, the seventh parliament that we've got, there's a different dynamic. It's no longer it's my way only. It's now there is a discussion, and that seems to be starting to unlock a number of issues. People coming to the table and openly saying, yes, we think we do actually have a problem. In terms of lost opportunities, the easiest one to grasp over the last sort of 3 years was Rheinmetall Denel Munitions. Now this is a 49% state-owned entity. We could not unlock a end user or a contracting permit for supply to Poland. It was a smallish contract. It was around about R1 billion. However, the further on after that was aiming that they wanted to procure around about €1 billion per year. So let that sink in. That's around about 18 to 20 billion rand per year. We've lost that opportunity. Poland then went and established their own plant. Now they're in competition with Rheinmetall Denel Munitions. That is just unfortunate, and it's an own goal from South Africa.
Big losses there. Guys, let me come back to you. I think beginning of this conversation, James alluded to the fact that global conflicts have now pushed the defense spending worldwide to record levels. From your opinion, is South Africa in a position to still take advantage of that demand, or have we missed part of that opportunity?
I think we still can take advantage of that demand, but the window is closing. If you look at other defense industries around the world, South Korea, Poland, Turkey, they're all advancing very rapidly, and they're all competing in the same space that we do. Turkey in particular I think they've overtaken us quite dramatically already, whereas maybe 20 years ago we were on the same page, and South Africa was probably ahead of Turkey then. So if we don't act quickly, we are going to lose out. So a lot of countries around the world, they're busy establishing their own defense industry capabilities, and they will become independent down the line. So if we don't hurry up and tap into all those opportunities now, we will lose them. But the good news is there is still time. And if you look at historically, at its peak, the South African defense industry employed about 130,000 people, and this is nearly 40 years ago. Last year, it was roughly 15,000 direct jobs. So it just goes to show what can be achieved. There's huge possibilities. And just to get back to an earlier point, the Aerospace, Maritime and Defense Industries Association, they've estimated that just by unlocking and speeding up export permits, that could generate several billion rand in additional income every year, just by streamlining a regulatory process. Now, that's a low-hanging fruit. It costs basically nothing to cut down the red tape. So that's an easy one.
Very important to note. James, let me come back to you. Which, just for the benefit of our listeners, which South African products are currently attracting the most interest overseas, and where's the demand coming from?
It's really in consumables. We really are basing our industry at the moment on consumables. So it's ammunition. It's artillery ammunition. That's our biggest seller, and that's through the Rheinmetall Denel Munitions. Can you imagine if that other opportunity that I said had come off, where we would be now? It's then followed by I just want to give you a sort of an outlier. It's defense related, so it's not actually true defense, but the space payloads domain, which we have established in South Africa. It comes from a good history. We developed something in the early to late 80s, but now we've got space payloads. In this last year, so Westgrow has said that we have grown the industry and the sales have been in excess of 1 billion rand. This is from an industry which around about 10 years ago was doing less than 100 million rand. So we are on what you would call either the logarithmic scale or a J scale. We are growing massively, and that's an area where we should be focusing. There are new plants that companies have opened. It's all private. It's not government at the moment, and that has got a good potential for 10 to 20 billion in defense-related space. No, never mind the commercial. With commercial, it can take it. The sky's the limit. Really, the sky is the limit. So that's where we should be going. Just as one aside, in this last year, we started selling integrated aircraft. So that is, as guys mentioned, the Milcor UAV that we have sold. There's been a number of them sold. Plus Paramount unlocked their Imwari aircraft. So it's a manned aircraft. With just those two selling just over 10 aircraft, we brought in 2 billion rand. That is the market where it's really where our niche is. We've got niches that we fill. We are not going to compete with the conventional warfare suppliers. We've got our niches and we do them very well. But we need a bit of support to get out there and market our goods.
No, most definitely. I want us to take one last quick break, and then when we come back, we'll look at ethics and South Africa's foreign policy when it comes to, who and where and how we're selling weapons. And I think most importantly, just looking forward to the future and what government needs to do, I think, to unlock the industry's full potential. But we'll touch on those very two important points after this.
You South African, of course. You anxious about the future. We've got you covered. Build on your wealth portfolio with R30 Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange. Visit us at 151 Stephen Dlamini Road, Musgrave, Durban, or call us on 031-202-4700 for more information. R30 Jewelers Gold Coin Exchange, your passport to gold investment.
Gaza needs your support more than ever. Homes have been shattered and families have lost everything. With your support, our teams are delivering clean water tankers, feeding the hungry, and assisting orphans who have no one left. Let us give Gaza whatever help we can. African Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Right now, in some of the most devastated parts of our world, places close to many of our hearts, Doctors Without Borders is delivering emergency medical care where no one else will. Your donation gives a child surgery, a family clean water, a community a fighting chance against disease. This is an opportunity to make your giving count where it's needed most. Visit msf.org.za/sadaqah, that's SADAQAH, and donate today. Doctors Without Borders. We go there.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
8:32 Central African time, and we are in our final segment of this conversation. If you just joined us, I'm in conversation with defense analyst Guy Martin and defense industry analyst James Kerr, and we are dissecting the potential of the South African defense industry. The industry in itself is eyeing around a 30 billion rand export boom, and we're looking at some of the ways that we can achieve that. Gentlemen, thank you so much once again for staying with us. Before we went on to that short break, and I think maybe Guy, you can jump in there. I wanted to touch briefly on South Africa and the country having to balance some of its commercial interests with its foreign policy and human rights commitments. How difficult is that balancing act when approving defense exports?
It can be a little tricky sometimes. So James mentioned the Poland contract. Now, in theory, that contract would be allowed in terms of our regulations, but the NCACC, the National Conventional Arms Control Committee, they thought that the ammunition that would be exported from South Africa would end up being diverted to Ukraine and enter an active conflict zone. So instead of either denying or approving that application, they basically sat on it for about a year, and Poland got tired of waiting and they just gave up. So that's just one indication of where things get a little bit tricky. One of the advantages of the South African defense industry is that South Africa is a non-aligned country, and we don't have the restrictions that, say, the United States has when exporting defense equipment. But although South Africa is in theory an aligned country, I mean, we all know that it's a supporter of China, Russia, and Iran, which can be a bit problematic. So our export framework doesn't allow sales to countries that are at war, and that does limit trade to some degree, but there are still huge opportunities. And if you look at all the countries that are rearming, there are literally hundreds of billions of rands worth of opportunities globally. Last year, world military spending reached $2.8 trillion. That's been going up year after year after year. So in spite of these sort of difficult policies, there's still huge opportunities out there.
James, maybe you can also jump in on the conversation around ethics and South Africa's foreign policy. There are those that think, maybe South Africa should, place economic interests, first and foremost ahead of political considerations when deciding who it sells defense equipment to. What do you think of that conversation? Is it one to entertain?
You have to go back to the first principles. We want to be a compliant industry. So that's the first thing. So we need to sort of toe the line with what government is doing. Government is reasonably open. We've traded over the last 15 years with over 115 countries. So that shows that government does consider what we are offering. But it is dynamic. The world is a dynamic place at the moment. If we stay within what the agreements are, there's a number of trade elements that we have to meet, and government is just making defense toe the line. It is a little bit political, as you have said. Eventually, the people who do adjudicate, it's a political decision, and if you're not aligned with who they want, then you will not get the permit. But over the last while, as I say, it's 115 countries that we have got relations with. Will we be able to sell to all of them? At the moment, most probably not. However, we need to be getting out there with government hand in hand with us, that they understand how we do business. It's really the timeline bottleneck that's hampering us at the moment. It keeps one hand behind the back. So at the moment, it takes us a lot longer to get contracting approvals than what other countries that we're competing with do. So then you lose the opportunity. It's it takes 5 years to unlock a defense business contract. And the last hurdle is getting these approvals from government. And if it doesn't come timeously, that 5 years is down the drain. So that is where the difficult thing is in aligning. You're talking, you want to go back to the ethics. We want to be an ethical supplier. That's why we follow the rules. But we need government to play along with us to say, but you've set these rules, we've applied according to those rules, but now you're not approving them. So it's there when it gets to that stage, then it becomes catch-22.
I want to wrap up, I think, with a very interesting conversation for the both of you. Guy, maybe you can answer it first for us. If the defense minister and the minister of trade were sitting in front of us today, what would you advise? Which 3 maybe reforms would you tell them to implement immediately that could see us unlocking the full potential of the defense industry and how we are, giving the rest of the world some of these brilliant innovations that we have?
I think the most important and possibly the lowest hanging fruit is to reform the NCACC export process. It's been a paper-based system. There are attempts to move it to a digital permit system, but that's been taking a while. And one of the biggest issues is, as James said, we're taking too long to make a decision on a permit. It can be months before a permit gets approved, whereas our competitors, they get their permits approved in days or weeks. So one of the issues is the NCACC only meets about once a month, and the ministers that are part of the committee, they're busy, they just don't have enough capacity. So one thing to do is to either get more people on the job, try and have a decision on a permit in a matter of days, and you can also change the way the system is managed. So some countries have products or export destinations that are either green lit or red zoned. So if say body armor, that's not exactly a particularly dangerous item, that might be green listed, and you wouldn't even need to have a permit for that. So if we can speed up that whole process, we'd be winning a lot more contracts. People would trust the industry more, and it would just make life easier for the industry. There would be a lot more certainty and predictability. So that would be my main recommendation to the minister. It's, like I said, it doesn't really cost anything to implement an improved export process system, and it can unlock billions in annual export revenue.
And from your perspective, James?
Yes, so let's also go to the non-financial aspect. We want to use the government as a promoter for us. So we have pitched to the defense environment. We want to use the defense attaches correctly. They must be out there promoting our goods. They must be out there seeking the opportunities early enough so that we can go in and unlock the elements. It's using what they've already got. We've got defense attaches, the state security apparatus, and DIRCO diplomats. They're out there. They must be promoting our elements. And we want to do what the other international countries do. We want to try and use the president as promoter-in-chief. We need defense to go along with him on his state visits that he's doing, that defense becomes a player that sits at the table, and we sell our defense goods. When government is going out there, we go with government as a South African incorporated type approach. With that, I think we can unlock defense opportunities way better than what we currently are doing at the moment. Currently, it's company trying to get out there. If we go as an entity, as a country as a whole, I think the sky's the limit.
No, most definitely. Gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us, and I think for unpacking this very interesting conversation. Hope we chat again soon.
Thanks, Solelo.
Thanks for having us.
There we go, Guy Martin and James Kerr. Unpacking a conversation, I think that goes well beyond defense. There's a lot of industrial policy and advanced manufacturing, exports, skilled jobs, and whether South Africa can compete globally when it comes to high-tech industry. It looks like there are indicators that there is opportunities, but whether or not government can remove some of the obstacles, I think may well determine if that projected 30 billion rand export boom becomes a reality. If you missed this conversation, you can head over to our Spotify channel and you can rewatch and re-listen. It's very eye-opening and very important. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you after this.